Ninja! Ninja! Ninja!
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the walls. The chair is against the walls. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
All right, we're live. Go.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Early Watch. Welcome to the Early Watch. I'm Jimmy.
Early Watch slash Every Second Matters slash Daily Gun Show.
Yeah.
Slash
the best part of your guys' day. Whoever's out there listening.
Slash your welcome.
It is Wednesday, May 2nd. I'm Jimmy. We got G-Webs in the house running this thing.
Thanks for the invite.
No problem. And now we got Dead Horse jumping in too. What's up, sir?
Howdy.
Another day in El Paradiso. Yeah, a lot of bullshit's been going on. Appreciate everybody sticking with us through the hiatuses. But we do have a little bit of gun news today, a little bit of stuff, unless usually in the beginning we go over anything interesting or exciting. I got nothing. Boring and depressing. You guys want that? I got it. Dead Horse, G-Webs, you guys got anything before we jump into the news?
No, I just got a bunch of windows open here, so yeah.
Cool,
kind of
yeah.
We got a bunch of people jumping in, so appreciate everybody that's finding us here. We're trying to about the Early Watch show. We're doing it on the YouTube or on the Every Second Matters YouTube. Wait, was this? This is the Daily Gun Show YouTube, but we're putting it on the Early Watch over on Gun Channel. So thanks to everybody who found us and is tuning in. All right, I'm done.
All right.
Go. That way Jimmy feels comfortable. Okay, we're live. Go.
The more pressure, the better the Early Watch turns out, I feel. Except for Tony always gets mad whenever I bullshit and banter. So, whatever.
Okay, well, feedback from the YouTube side. Jimmy's on your phone, so I'm guessing you can't look at the chat so easy. Bruce?
Nah.
1,000 people showed up at the Minnesota State Capitol rally on Saturday.
Oh, fucking A. That's awesome. Let me see if I can get over to the YouTube side. I was over on the YouTube side.
But it is Every Second Matters. It looks like there's a couple of things already planned, and anybody's welcome, of course, to participate. It's just an awareness campaign. There's nothing to join, nothing to do except to talk about the second deliberately on the second day of every month. So while Jimmy's finished thing, let us know what states you're in so we can start talking about what states everybody's in.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure that there's a bunch of news going on. Like, what is this? In Jersey. This is www.app. I don't know. I've never heard of this one before. It's this news site. Buying a gun in New Jersey. What you need to do and should think about. So you want to buy a gun. Maybe you've always been interested in owning a firearm. Maybe this isn't your first time buying, but your first time buying in New Jersey. Maybe the recent flood of news stories about gun rights and gun control, Q protesting high school kids, kickstarted a rush purchase. In any case, you would be a part of a familiar pattern. Shortly after February 14th, mass murder at a Florida high school, gun sales in New Jersey and across the nation spiked based on federal background check data as buyers sought to get ahead Of any new proposed firearm restrictions, the same rush to purchase replays itself virtually every mass murder, that litany from Aurora to Sandy Hook to San Bernardino. I like how they said that at the end, because I was going to interject and be like, he could take out February 14th and put any date and any mass murder that had a gun involved in it, or that the guy used a gun. I didn't personally purchase a gun after Parkland, but every time that restrictions get placed or the threat of further restrictions get placed upon the law-abiding public, it creates a supply and demand issue, said David Rosenthal, the vice president of the Coalition of New Jersey Firearm Owners. President Obama, who pushed unsuccessfully for more gun control, was the best gun salesman the United States has ever seen. Background checks, a barometer of sales, which I think is bullshit, in New Jersey totaled 10,198 in March, up from 8,010 to 8,499, respectively, in January and February nationwide. Background checks topped 2.76 million in March, from up to 2.03 million and 2.33 million, respectively, in January and February, according to FBI data, which isn't cited anywhere. The buying spasm follows a period of relative calm for gun sales, widely attributed to Donald Trump's White House win. With the backing of by the NRA, nationwide background check, of course, they had to add that in. Nationwide background checks fell to 25.2 million in 2017, Trump's first year in office, after topping 27.5 million in 2016, Obama's final year. But politics aside, there are plenty of reasons why someone might want to buy a gun legally, to guard what's important, to use hunting, to shoot at a range for fun, competition, or simply to collect, admire, or to hear gun enthusiasts tell it, and to hear gun enthusiasts tell it. Still, it isn't a decision that should be taken lightly, because the consequences can literally be life or death or serious injury. Getting a grip. What does it take to buy a gun in Jersey? What are the practical considerations to take into account when buying, and if the gun is to be used for protection? Gun control advocates asked. Are there smarter, more practical alternatives? For example, might a big barking dog do the trick? Just buy a beware dog sign, skip the dog. The internet
the responsibility of owning a dog or any of the stuff that goes along with that, because that'll be an equivalent to a gun.
Yeah, you can't just grease up your dog and throw it in a box until you're ready to use it or whatever. You know, it's I don't know. Guess you could, but the kennel trained. You know. The internet can only take you so far, said Anthony Colindro, the founder and chief executive for Gun for Hire, a range that shares space with Manelli's sporting arms shop in Woodland Park. For those so inclined, he advises jumping right in. You need to touch and feel a gun. You have to see how it fits your hand, and it's great to try a gun. Hold the 9mm Glock. It's the most popular type of handgun in Colorado. So, these Glock guys are going to make me start hating Glock, and I'm a Glock guy. It's cold. It's where I forgot where it said he sells. It feels and feel its heft. It's cold destiny. Take aim with a rifle built off the Armalite rifle AR platform. Who the fuck is this guy? And nestle that stock into your chest and take aim at the sheet of paper suspended 20 feet in front of you, the shooting port. Slowly, deliberately hook an index finger around the trigger pull. Hear the bang bang. Watch the fast fading wisps of gray smoke. Listen for the tinkle of shell casings falling to the cement floor. And anyway, that's what, yeah, right? Before I mess myself. Anyway, that's what it's like in this controlled environment.
Now I see your attitude with this story is because you like to use the word tinkle when you're describing guns.
Yeah, it's an interesting word. The tinkle of the case. I got to use that one now. The best thing would be to make sure you get something you're comfortable with, said Rosenthal from Coalition of New Jersey Firearm Owners. A nonprofit, he said, spans New Jersey and counts around 1,000 members in addition to volunteers. A lot of folks start out with things that are a little bit too powerful because they look shiny and for the cosmetic appeal. But the reality of it is they need to consider that they're going to be using it because they're going to be using it for because it's a tool. I don't feel that grammatically made sense, but that's okay. Rosenthal said, for many enthusiasts, the AR-15 or semi-automatic rifles built off the AR platform, as the AR-15 is banned by name in New Jersey, are ideal for target shooting or shooting in competition, Rosenthal added, for hunters. Among the general public, however, shooting coyotes isn't what comes to mind when talk turns to AR-15. And the Valentine's Day massacre, that's the Valentine's Day massacre now, the Marjorie Stoneman stuff? I didn't know that. Florida authorities say 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz used an AR-15 to kill 17 people and wound 17 others. The killer's work was done in minutes. The AR-15 also played a starring role in a host of other firearm massacres, including in Newton, Connecticut, San Bernardino, California, Orlando, Las Vegas, Sutherland Springs, Texas, and elsewhere. Is that Elseworld or else? I don't know. The weapon has turned up in so many mass shootings that Rolling Stone wrote All-American Killer of course they did, how the AR-15 became a mass shooter's weapon of choice. Quote, not my words. And gun advocates say the weapon isn't the problem. I'm obviously pro-Second Amendment, pro-civil rights, pro-safety, pro-gun person with 46 years of shooting experience, said Rosenthal, who called the AR-15 an evil black rifle with the apparent show of sarcasm. In the gun store, the shatter-proof glass door opens, and the Autominelli sporting arms with a dizzying array of shapes and earthy tones packed into one tight space. It's like stepping into a huge end of a kaleidoscope that has none of the vibrant psychedelic colors, but the shop has plenty of background noise. About 100 feet away, even behind thick transparent barriers, the multiple heavy doors, the sound of shooters firing at different speeds, and cacophonous elevator music. For firearm shoppers. About 80% of rifle sales are the AR style, said Calandro, a longtime member of the NRA who owned a promotional advertising company before he opened Gun for Hire around 5 years ago. About 80% of handgun sales are the Glock. Standing behind one of the glass counter display cases that lines Autominelli's sales floor, most people want to buy what the police and military are using. Around 65% of law enforcement personnel, blah, 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 Glock. Autominelli's houses and dizzying array of the firearm, handgun, shotgun, rifles, of which there is the AR and Israeli style, among others. Israeli, I'm talking about a Galil? I don't know, whatever. There are boxes upon boxes of ammunition neatly stacked. The glass cases are filled with pistols and revolvers, and in comparison to the thick black and brown Glocks, Smith & Wesson, Sig Sauers, and Berettas look simply dainty. About 300 to 700 people come in to Autominelli's. What the fuck is this, a romance novel? I thought we were going to read about how, okay, we want to steer them from a firearm that best fits them. A lot of people will come in with the misconception from watching movies or video games that they want a big gun. They want something that might be expensive, like $4,000 Desert Eagle, and instead we'll tell them they can get a Glock for $600 that has 9mm ammunition, and it's affordable. So I just realized this is an anti-gun article talking about 9mm and shit. Rosenthal recommends a Smith & Wesson for a handgun. The Smith & Wesson revolver was the very first gun he bought 40 years ago at Sayreville Sportsman when he was just 18 years old. But like Calandro, he also likes the 9mm Glock, particularly for new firearm. I'm going to go check. I wonder if this is sponsored by Glock. Generally speaking, you can get something decent even around $250 to $500. But here's a word of caution. If you go to a place and they start telling you what you need instead of trying to fit you, then you're in the wrong place. Some threshold questions. To protect home and those inside it, what's most efficient, a gun, a guard dog, or keeping doors and windows locked? The Reverend Robert Moore wants to know the answer to that question by way of studies and hard evidence. There does need to be more studies done. What makes you safe in your home? Moore, the executive director of the Princeton-based Coalition for Peace Action, said, in addition to campaigns titled Diplomacy, Not War, and No Wars, No Warming, the Coalition for Peace Action mounts a campaign called Ceasefire New Jersey, which pushes for more gun control. Moore noted that he does not oppose the Second Amendment or the right to keep and bear arms or people who shoot or for recreation. He's just against buying them and owning them. That's all. He is unnerved by the harrowing statistics on gun violence. He urges potential gun buyers to carefully consider their decision. The raw numbers mask stories behind the losses. There were 485 recorded gun deaths in Jersey in 2016, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The total takes in all manner of calamity, including homicides, suicides, and accidents. At least this one tells us that. We already know that, though. Over the same period, Pennsylvania, with considerably looser firearm laws, recorded 1,555 gun deaths. Firearms strict New York recorded 900 gun deaths, and Delaware also among the states with the tightest gun laws, clocked in at 111. While federal law has long clamped down on firearms death research, a bevy of oft-cited reports make the same claim. States with the most gun laws, including New Jersey and New York, on average have the lowest firearms death rates, the death rates of the neighbor states per 100,000 people. New Jersey, 5.5, New York, 4.4, Delaware, 11, and Pennsylvania, 12. More facts for those considering whether to buy. According to the Annals of International Medicine, 2014 research findings, gun ownership doubled the risk of homicide and tripled the risk of suicide in a home, which now accounts for about 2/3 of 33,000 of U.S. firearm deaths each year. I know about the NRA mantra that the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun, Moore said. That only works in the wild, wild west fantasies most of the time. Nikki Van the assistant director of the Coalition for Peace Action, urges potential gun buyers to seriously consider anyone in their home who could pose a danger to themselves or others if a firearm is around. I'm all for the it's loading right now. I'm all for the wild, wild west stuff, though.
Well, that's that article over, or is it still on?
No, it's loading the. I had to skip an ad.
But it's again trying to put the focus on the actual theoretical, whatever, less than a lightning strike odds of an old lady having to actually get into an extended gunfight with a bunch of thugs. I mean, it's just they put it into a ridiculous thing so that they don't focus on the real picture. They focus on an extreme of low-hanging fruit, and they're going to say, oh yeah, if you have a gunfight, you think about all the blah blah blah. Well, nobody has gunfights. It happens very rarely, and what they're suggesting is that only the gunfight is the what would you say, the reason that a gun is effective at preventing crime, when really the concept or the freedom of owning a gun is what stops criminals from becoming criminals. So they don't look at the real big picture, that when you have an armed society that has lethal consequences for crime, the very few people are going to choose crime. Thus, you have a very safe society. Thus, the country we live in today. So they'll take the numbers skewed with the couple of cities that have the worst cases of crime, make it look like the entire country has some kind of a crime problem, and then they'll suggest that guns, are somehow like preaching to the choir. But anyway, that's enough time to read that.
But no, but I hear, yes, definitely, thank you. But no, you're 100% right though. That's all they're trying to do is demonize. But I think we may have gotten to that last ad. That was just a warm up. I think we got to the meat and potatoes here. How does someone buy a gun in New Jersey? To start, visit your municipal. Well, that was what was this whole fucking article was supposed to be about. But I don't know. I'm like 3 different loopy-loops. Buying a gun. How does someone buy a gun in Jersey? To start, visit your municipal police department or New Jersey State Police barracks and request a form for a firearms purchaser ID card. I have to fill out the whole background check. I have to get fingerprinted electronically. I have to list 2 references. I have to disclose my mental health and allow the county clerk do a mental health background check on me," said Calandro, the owner of Gun for Hire. "Prepare to answer if you've ever been convicted of a domestic violence or have a court order issued related to domestic violence, if you've ever committed a crime in New Jersey or any other jurisdiction, if you've ever been a juvenile delinquent, if you've ever been convicted of disorderly persons offense, if you suffer from a physical defect or disease, if you depend on alcohol or narcotics, if you've ever been confined, committed, attended, treated, or beaned, I don't know, it says beaned, but I think it's been observed, for a mental or psychiatric condition, all that history comes into play. Spokesman with the New Jersey office for the Attorney General and the New Jersey State Police would not discuss what offenses would disqualify an applicant for approval in New Jersey, aside from the conditions set forth in the applicant for the firearm. Yeah, they learned their lesson. They know if they say this is going to deny you and you just like miss it by it, they're going to have to fucking let it go and shit. So they're being general so they can just deny you if they want to. And all this fucking, I'm trying to read back. That was a mouthful right there. If you've ever committed a crime in Jersey, okay, that's everywhere. Domestic violence, that's everywhere. Disorderly persons offense, I don't know what the fuck, that must be a Jersey thing. If you suffer from a physical defect or disease, that's kind of, yeah, that's pretty strict there. So anyway, spokesman with the New Jersey office of the Attorney General and the New Jersey State Police would not discuss what offenses would disqualify an applicant in New Jersey aside from the conditions set forth in the application for the firearms purchaser ID card. According to FBI stats, though, the vast majority of federal denials are because the would-be purchaser had been convicted of a crime punishable by a year or more, or a misdemeanor punishable by more than 2 years, among other reasons for denial being a fugitive from the law, a domestic violence conviction, a drug offense, a state prohibition, a restraining order, an adjudicated mental health issue. The FBI, I'm surprised that the physical one didn't come up again too. The FBI, state police, and the ATF Bureau, or the ATF, and the local police check my fingerprints, which takes a couple of weeks. Calandro said, "I have to take a picture. My 2 references have to go back to the police department, vouching for me. Once the application for the firearm purchaser identification card is completed and submitted back to the police, the approval process should be completed in 30 days, according to the application packet. But that's not always the case. If reference checks or background checks are delayed, but once the state approves your application for firearm purchase ID, you can now legally buy a rifle, shotgun, or pellet gun. Even a pellet gun. That's it. If you pass the National Instant Criminal Background Check at the firearm shop you visit. As with the New Jersey application for firearms purchase identification card, federal officials screen for criminal and mental history, dishonorable military conduct and discharge, immigration status, reported domestic violence, substance use, and open warrants. Want a handgun in New Jersey? That's another step. Oh yeah, that was just for long guns. Holy mother of fuck. Fill out another application for handgun ownership and provide another 2 references. If you get approved for that, act fast. You can only buy 1 handgun every 90 days. Some municipalities grant a 90-day extension, Calandro said, and other municipalities do not. My town is not so bad with the pistol permits. Not so bad, Paul. Not so bad. 46 of Somerset County, who declined to provide his last name because of his job. Usually it takes within 30 days that the police, will issue the permits. I know some towns in New Jersey can take months and months. A gun owner in northern Jersey who asked his name not be used because the health professional and fears losing business if people find out about his gun hobby, that's sad, said he bought his first gun around 7 years ago. I've subsequently bought a number of other guns, and the process to apply for handgun permits does not get easier with experience, he said. At a gun store, Calandro said the customer provides their firearm ID card and driver's license. The addresses on both the firearms ID and license have to match. Damn, that would have been a fail for me right there. Then the customer fills out a federal form and the firearms store employees start a national instant background check. Want to carry in New Jersey? Oh, no, I don't. I fucking am done with New Jersey. The chances of an extraordinary civilian receiving a carry permit is slim. In 2017, 1,212 carry permits were granted to people in Jersey, according to Guns to Carry, a website. According to Guns, it's loading up here, my bad. Website that collects information on each state's gun laws. Critics of the Garden State's firearm laws note that they would have an easier time buying guns in Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Idaho, Montana, or Wyoming, just a few of the many states that don't require licensing, registration, or permitting to own a gun. They have some of the highest firearm death rates in the nation. That's how New Jersey works. Well, nowhere I'm never going.
There's a lot to that, but that's a pretty interesting article. Like you say, the beginning of that was weird and verbose and some sort of like, I don't know what he's trying to prove. Maybe there's some amount of that flowery writing that he's got to put in there to prove to his readers that, you know, he's went to college or whatever, so he's worth listening to. So maybe that's something, because I mean, I certainly wouldn't use the word tinkle very often. I wasn't talking a puppy.
It was a very descriptive article, and I feel like tinkle fit.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm almost saying is, I guess what I'm saying is it almost is like the guy, you know, was setting it all up. And then I don't know how to feel about that last part. I mean, it's certainly fucking, when he writes it down, the verbal description of all the shit you have to go through, I think it's definitely more effective than what I would have done, which is put a fucking couple of bullet points and said, like, it's this, this, and this, and then you do this, this, and this, and then you do this, this, and this. I don't think that would have been as effective as showing like what a laborious, complicated, restrictive, what's the word? Like, it denies people who don't have the resources to spend the time and money to do it and to investigate all the different levels of what you have to do. You know, it's what's the word for that? It's a damn word for that when it discriminatory. That's what I'm trying to say, to both economical fucking levels and people who might not have those area, you know, things like the stores and the places to register. I doubt those are in every neighborhood. So rich and poor probably have to go to some place in the middle to try to find those places. So for all those reasons, I think that guy's like real verbose, descriptive narrative of the process is probably effective, hopefully effective to some of those people, so they get an idea of how much shit there is. Problem is, I imagine most people reading that, if they weren't really interested, are just gonna skim over it. You know what I mean? Like, skim through, when does he get back to a conclusion here? Because they don't really care about that process.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I don't know. It almost, I mean, you already know me. I'm kind of like looking at every article in a negative way anyway before I even start reading it. But it was almost like, this is just my opinion, he was kind of romanticizing the fucking pro-gun side of it, and then like hitting you with the numbers at the end, like, this is what we need to do, and almost like, you know, that Jersey thing is the right thing. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like it was ultimately trying to discourage people, like a hidden discouragement.
No, it kind of is, because if you were, let's say, on the fence and you're like, oh yeah, a gun, I haven't had a gun before. Like, I'm sick of my motorcycle because it's winter, I'm gonna go get a gun. And then you read that article and you're like, nope, that's too much work.
Yeah, seriously, I know I don't want to go get a gun in Jersey. Like, I'll never do that in my life, you know. Not doing that one. But yeah, seriously, I don't know. I always feel like there's something underlying all the time now, because of just how the news has been this past. I mean, it's been longer than this year, but I think that it's gotten to a ridiculous point within the past, you know, year or two. Guess they're coming down to crunch time. Gotta get those guns. All right, let's see what else.
You know, I'm not an alarmist, and I always play devil's advocate and shit. But yeah, I think that as far as I've been, in the time that I've been aware and focused on this kind of stuff, this seems like a real dangerous time. I'm not going to say that we're in danger of losing it all, but I think we seriously are, because we're on some thin ice. And literally, I think that analogy works, because we're deceptively, like still dry. Deceptively, we've done this a million times before. We drive across this ice, whatever, iced over lake or something. We do it all the time. And every once in a while, it looks like it might, when we hear a crack or whatever the hell the deal is, right? But this time, I think we got a real potential of everybody just not paying attention. And, they figured out that if they put one big thing out there, we rally against it, knock it over, and we all feel like we've done something. We walk away and we feel like, and they don't really have a chance of doing anything for a while. And, they saw that in 2004 when they did the stupid assault weapons ban, and they literally felt that for 10 years, like for a decade, they dealt with that. And then they finally started to poke the water a little bit and had some resistance. They didn't really put any effort into it. And then Sandy Hook and Obama, boom, they knew they could punch really hard and they'd get results that were anticipated, and they benefited. NRA benefited, and the pro-gun side benefited. So I don't know why that wouldn't embolden them to continue to keep pushing it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why it'll never end.
So I think
it's bad.
Figured out that, if you push at it, we resist. But if they do it in different ways, then it's difficult to, they're learning. But I think what they figured out with that California Gunmageddon, and what they saw, again, as political analysts, if you kind of were paying attention and you saw that, the way that we're paying attention is every second matters. We don't have any influence or money behind us. We're just a bunch of people who are watching what's going on and trying to do what we can to, let people know about things that might not get enough noise, and to discuss the things that have a lot of nuance, right? Try to make it easier for people to have conversations in real life with allies and adversaries, right? By just going over these conversations. Well, there's people like that on the other side, isn't there? There's got to be. And when they're looking at their, board game with all the little players on it, and I don't know if we're one of them or not, but certainly the things we're looking at are the same things that they're looking at. And they see that Gunmageddon works. That Gunmageddon had a bunch of stuff. It was a ballot initiatives in bulk go through, and it was very difficult for the pro-gun side, the resistance, to create, again, I don't know, thousands and hundreds of thousands of signatures, really. I think realistically they needed like 200,000 signatures. I don't know if that was for each ballot or if that was all together, but whatever, it was a massive, tremendous effort of volunteers and gun shops, and then the gun owners who had to figure out that there was something that needed to be efforted, and, rallied, and then actually rallied, and they weren't successful. And unfortunately, we're dealing with that in California, and now California has figured out, oh, we can do that. And they're attacking them just nonstop, right? To the point where most of us are numb to this freaking shit going on in California. So anyhow, I think that those people who are like us, who are watching it from the other side, they're seeing that won. They're seeing that they could sneak universal background checks into Oregon, then, Washington first to fall, then Oregon, then Nevada. Now they're bringing it to Arizona. They're figuring out that if they want those efforts to win, how'd they get universal background checks to Nevada? Because that year they had things happening in every other state. Well, not every other state. They had it happen in like 3 or 4 other states. So there was fights everywhere. And we as individuals can't afford to just throw money at each of those. We have to depend on individuals to rally and do something about it. Or maybe the national level groups, tag teaming some of these things, or playing zone and grabbing one or another. And I don't know if there's any coordinating effort to that. Anyway, so I think those people on the other side who are watching this whole board game, and they saw that California worked, and they saw that, the attrition, is that the way to say it? Like a war, instead of taking us into ambush points like they typically do, wait for a tragedy, wait for an atrocity. A tragedy is something that can't be, this is atrocities, these are intentional. So wait for an atrocity and then exploit it and capitalize on it, right? That's their typical scenario. Make us as shooters, right? They take the word shooters away from us. They require us as shooters to defend the bad guys, the atrocity. And that's a fucking no-win scenario, and we've been getting plastered by that. But they figured out, instead of just doing that, they can attack us by putting down just laws everywhere, and they get us discouraged, right? We don't win all the time, we get discouraged. It's just tendency or whatever, especially in groups. So I think that's where we've got this thin ice. That's where we've got this potential to just, we think everything's normal, and then all of a sudden it'll be like, shit, there's no more Arizona, there's no more Florida. Look what happened in Florida. The governor broke to a bunch of kids going into his office and yelling. That's what happened in Arizona already. So if 16 kids can be encouraged by letting them out of school and giving them a camera and a microphone and making them famous for a little bit, if they can be encouraged to do that and affect change in every little state, and that breaks our back, or at least it makes us nerve damaged or something. So, it's going to be super critical for us to be motivated and try to be unified. So I'm hoping the NRA is some of that in mind and not just trying to sell everybody the new fucking 30 round this or that.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing too, man. Is that, and I hear what you're saying, but it's just so hard with the I don't know how to word it. The regular people, not the politicians, just like us having a conversation, us versus the antis, that kind of thing, or even just us versus the people on the fence. I feel like a lot of those people, maybe not a majority, but a lot of those people are on the side that they're on because of emotion. And it's so hard to argue logic versus emotion, especially when, if you're trying to give a number, give a statistic or something like that, and then they just, go off with, but kids are dying or something, you know what I mean? Like, it's so hard to argue that. And like you're saying, they saw this little niche that they could fit into, and they're playing it until the fucking strings wear out. So,
I don't know if it's necessarily opportunistic, like they're scavenging. That's what I think is the difference this time. They're not just dealing with whatever and being satisfied with, oh, we punched the gun, we punched the NRA, and blah, 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 and that means they hate children. And then they walked away satisfied and went to their constituents and said, look what we did. We punched the NRA again. I think that this time they're taking little cuts with razor blades, and they're getting into a blood frenzy.
Oh yeah,
like they ain't stop.
Yeah, they're not going for nothing vital. They're going for death by infection.
Yeah, exactly, and that'll happen because they're frustrated, and unfortunately, people on our side will either be bad or unaware and ineffective. So basically use a bunch of people's money and resources and time, which is our biggest resource. People do that for, doing things that have already been done or wasted effort, intentional or not, because we do have a couple of things on our side that aren't scrupulous that'll gladly, in fact, go out and solicit people's money, and they do almost nothing with it other than to parrot what has been said years ago, or to, throw up all ideas that are other people's. So if you get enough people like that sapping the resources we've got here, we do have a finite pool. That could be discouraging, and that could tap us out. Again, I think that's one of the things that Every Second Matters is designed to do. It's not designed to take anybody's money. It's designed to help filter the noise, help organize some of the stuff that's happening and some of the stuff that's being done, so that we as activist people that are individuals wanting to put our time into the cause can push in the same direction and not be pushing against anybody or, picking up a rope that's already been pulled, so we can take a look at what other people are doing and amplify efforts we think are worthwhile or local, or, that we have resources that would match up, and then also see the gaps in where our people are missing something, and then let not only do whatever it is there's a hole, do whatever it is that's missing, do something that's not being done, but then I'll let other people know that you've taken up that rope. And again, we can all be more effective that way. And hopefully people that think that's a valid thing don't just go to Every Second Matters and go, okay, it's a television, I'm going to turn it on and sit here and watch what's going on. Let's see what the result of this one day a month thing is. Well, there is none. It's been sitting there for 5 years. It is just a structure. It needs the human beings to actually participate. That's why I'm really psyched about your Early Watch Nation, people that probably aren't aware of what we built Every Second Matters for, but got sick of the same situation. There's so much noise, so much information, that how do you filter it all? So if you get a bunch of people watching their areas, they can get together once a day or whatever it is, and you guys, in a systematic way, cover what's new so that people can listen to that one thing and get the benefit of all the different work that's being done by all those different people.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we need to set up one of those. You guys are more than welcome to be. You're invited too, but we need to have one of those Early Watch Nation chats again. We had one, but we need to get one now since things are rolling. And that's another thing too that I wanted to add. And just to backtrack a little bit, I got another story here, but just to backtrack though, I am kind of enthused. Like I remember when all of this shit started, with the whole Vegas thing and everything like that. And I'm not gonna I'm gonna just generalize and not be specific, and say that kind of as a community we were still having a little bit of that apathy, like Trump won, we're fine, and all this, all that. But as of late, recently, and I'm talking like the past few months here, people have been really getting together, like you were saying earlier. The Minnesota rally. I know that there's been a whole bunch of rallies. Connecticut had one. Pretty much every state has had one, and there's been tremendous, awesome turnouts. And I kind of been stoked about that. That's kind of like I guess, a silver lining, I guess, for me, in a pessimistic mind. That's my little bit of silver lining.
Can I break in there with a piece of silver lining also? Philo, I don't know if he's fucking around or what, but saying, what did he say? How many states still allow private transfer? ? I don't think there's many left. Come on, dude. There's 9 states that have universal background check, and there's 50 states, 57 if you count Obama's numbers. So that's 1 out of 5. That's not a freaking majority. And
yeah,
most of those are brand new. They haven't had it for a long time. And the ones that have can be scrutinized to see that there's no reason for it. So that's certainly not something we're losing. That's something that we are at risk, but we're not losing it at the moment.
Oh, it's definitely under attack. There's everyone's trying to get rid of the loophole and all that shit. But yeah,
Dude, seriously, that's the risk we have. There's somebody who's pro-gun, who's aware, is in the chats all the time, but their perception that universal background checks are the norm are the kind of thing that can make a campaign successful. If they successfully tell the what we calling this, like through the media, they successfully tell the culture or whatever that background checks are the norm. Everybody has to do a background check all the time, but it's that gun show loophole that allows people to blah blah blah, and that's because you don't have universal background checks and that blah blah blah. Once they get that through people's mind that like the norm is to have universal background checks, then that same person just been duped, right, is going to turn around and go, what's our state's law? They're not going to go, oh, wait a minute, only 9 states have this stupid law that they're saying is the law of the land. They're going to say, oh, my state doesn't have it. I'd have to correct this. We're the minority. We got to change this. We got to get in line with, in lockstep.
Sure.
So I think it's that they're trying to make it like this concept that background checks are the norm. And that every piece of movie I've ever seen makes it seem like, oh, who's this gun registered to? Nowhere, except for basically New York, maybe a couple of states, but mostly cities. Are the only people that ever require like an actual card that says who this gun belongs to, and that's usually met with uproar, and it's never been successfully put anywhere. But most every movie you've ever seen, let's see who this gun's registered to.
Yeah, let's run the serial number and see who this registered to. Yeah, don't work like that. But I mean, but people have those negative perceptions, man, because that's what's put out there, and that's like you were saying, stuff like this. Stuff like Every Second Matters, all that. That's why it's good to be out there so you can find out some of the facts. Not going to be the end all be all the time, but definitely not going to be a bunch of bullshit.
So I don't know what Midnight Range is saying either here on the YouTube site. So if someone buys a gun, so if someone buys a gun, so I buy it from them, so there's no paper trail, that's a straw purchase, correct? So if you go to somebody and say, you go buy the gun from an FFL and then I'll buy it from you, that's 100% straw purchase, and you're both committed a federal offense. And if the store knows about it, they have as well. They'll lose their license. You all get it for 10 years plus.
But though, on the flip side of that, ain't it? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, though, please. If the guy buys the gun, goes out to the range, shoots it a couple of times, hates the ways that it feels, and sells it to his buddy, that's not a straw purchase.
Correct.
Okay.
That's the difference between like, I'm going to go to the store and buy a 6-pack and then drink 1 beer and be like, bah, and then be like, I'm going to sell 5 beers because I don't like them, right?
Yeah.
And the difference between like, hey, buddy, go buy me a 6-pack. I can't because I'm under 21 or whatever.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, exactly. And gifting is good in most states still. So, I mean, yeah.
That's a good point. I don't know. I'm assuming it's good everywhere, but I'm not sure.
Well, I know that there's a couple states that I've heard of that are bad, and I really haven't heard necessarily. So I'm just, yeah, I guess I'm just assuming, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of good, positive stuff out there, and there's people out. Where is this at? California. They're fighting for their little fairground right now. I'm thinking probably the little piece of land. In my mind, it's the little piece of shit they got left. So there's a debate that rages as Del Mar Fairgrounds hosts a gun prom. Del Mar, California, amid a heated debate about whether gun shows should continue being held at the Del Mar Fairgrounds, the Second Amendment Political Action Committee held its annual fundraising dinner there Saturday. Nearly 600 people gathered at the fairgrounds for the San Diego County Gun Owners Second Amendment Celebration Dinner, a formal event informally dubbed the Gun Prom. Organizers say the event's goal is to protect their right to bear arms and promote gun safety. Opponents, many of them the same activists who opposed the continuation of Del Mar's annual gun show, told Fox 5 that the event unhealthily, get this quote, glorifies guns, and that that its nickname, the Gun Prom, shows insensitivity to recent school shootings. Oh, that's the end of that one. That was a short one. They just wanted to get to the point and say how bad the Gun Prom was. But I think that's cool, and they're making a joke out of it. So what? You know, I don't know. But I think it's good that they're fighting it and holding their little thing there still and whatever. Especially in California.
See, that's the kind of thing where you caught me off guard because I haven't ever thought about that before. But that seems like, again, we're doing ourselves a disservice by not addressing that kind of, what are they, accusations, I guess?
Well, that's the thing. Like, how is that insane? Yeah, exactly.
Because they're going to throw out shit and say it's the, I don't know, gross ass thing, dildo prom or something, right? You know, they're not going to blink an eye. Oh, this is the, you know, well, you know, they're going to do some gross, weird things that other people aren't down with, but fine with it. Yeah, this is just, again, a one-sided thing where they can throw a bunch of stuff down to imply a bunch of, like I say, weird.
Yeah.
I don't know how many fights we can actually make, but this is one of those things that don't get discouraged by. It's just a freaking article. But on the other hand, once we get our shit together, it'll be easy enough to have, like, you know, imagine this. What was that? An email or not an email? You were reading that article on some website, so it's probably got a comment section below.
That was from. Hold on, let me go looking real quick. Yeah, Fox 5 San Diego. I'm gonna go look right now if there was.
Okay, so let's say that you're reading this and you're doing this effort. I don't know, you guys haven't, you know, like you say, you're kind of going through transition here. You're transitioning, but typically
going through the change.
Yeah, I know you're in the hormone treatments now, and then eventually it'll come out and be Jimmietta and Tonisha. It'll be a whole nother show. It'll be another gals with gas type of thing.
The full package.
Concealed carry? Question mark. Except it'll be spelled like a girl's name, Carrie.
Is that a gun in your jeggings?
All right, I forgot where I was fucking going with that now. Anyway, so if, let's say you guys were doing something where you mentioned a news article like that, and let's say you got 21 people like we got right now watching this, and right now, hopefully, I mean, you guys, I think you guys normally have more than 21 people. We're crippled because we suck, and people don't come over here because of our history of sucking, I guess. So you normally would have more viewers if it's on your own channel. So let's say you get optimistically 30 people, 50 people. If you were Yankee, 800 people. Imagine if Yankee did this. So well, you read an article like you just read there, and then you have a little bit of discussion with the panel, and you go, okay, here, blah, blah, blah. Here's a point, and here's another point. And then maybe you come up with some interesting rebuttals or whatever, or statements, or maybe some positions that, you know, illustrate how the weak their position was. And then you have those 20 people that are watching right now, or the 50 people that might be watching your show, or the 500 people that might be watching Yankee or Matt. Go to that website and hit them with comments. That's an effort that people can do from the comfort of their own fucking love seat, where the fuck you're watching your fucking shit on. and fucking boom. How neat would that be? And all of a sudden they're like, oh shit, we got early watch bombed. Oh
Yeah.
because we're gonna get fucking early watch bombed. And I don't
Yeah.
know, that could be a neat thing. And then if you did the same thing with the pro side, you know, hey, thanks, that was a great video, great promotion. I've shared it on my Facebook, I shared it on my gun channels, I've shared it on my fucking Vimeo, I shared it on my fucking shit. So you start, you know, letting people know, like, here's something good, share it, and then here's something bad, fucking let them know. It'd be kind of neat. And then and if enough people did that, you know, get little coffee clutches or whatever the hell you people call yourselves when you knit and you fucking bicker every morning, you can fucking all be pretty effective, right? Especially if you're all using something like an Every Second Matters, or maybe somebody like Gun Owners for America can get off their ass and create a social platform, so that instead of just being a stupid website like the big boys, they're fucking an actual coordinating effort. Or maybe Second Amendment or one of those others will get off their ass and do that. And then it'll be even a bigger group of people in their little coffee clutches and they're bickering, and they can, again, instead of just go bickering off into air, all that hot air just rising to, you know, help with global warming, we can direct it into tubes, the internet tubes, and have that hot air come right out underneath Bloomberg's ass, coordinate all that hot air from 1 billion people bickering every morning. And now he's paying all kinds of money to counteract all that shit. He figures out, oh shit, it costs money to be a dick about guns. I'm going to go back to bitching about soda. So the hell's going to this coordinated against soda, you know?
Yeah. Well, that kind of, like, I don't know, man. That, I guess it might just be like a characteristic or personality thing, but it pisses me off when people are like, yeah, I'm pro gun and all this shit, but they don't want to. I mean, I understand certain professionals shit. You don't talk about some of your shit at work. I understand that. But like, you got to hide who you are. You can't say your name. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I lose respect on that kind of shit, I guess. Like, if you can't say who the fuck you really are, or what you enjoy and that kind of shit, who the fuck are you?
You know who
That
we
shit
are?
always
3 people on a panel with 18 viewers and 17 thumbs up. So that's a pretty good ratio for us.
I feel good about it. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody.
Like 2 or 3, and then shame on you, thumb thieves, who didn't even give us one. But at least we got.
I think it was that last little bit where we got positive. We shined the light in people's life, and they started thumbing us for that. I appreciate it.
Where are you at on the topics and stuff? Because don't you got maybe 7 minutes left? Are you watching the clock? I don't know.
I'm walking. I'm walking and reading at the same time. I hope the background noise isn't that bad. I'm on the side street, so it shouldn't be.
No, we didn't hear nothing. So what? You're walking over to your job?
No, I'm just walking to the bus stop. I got to get over to, what is it? 16th and Washington. So I'm just gonna hop on the Broadway bus over here. I'm just gonna walk down the 24th
area. See Jimmy walking, honk, and then we'll hear your honk on the.
But yeah, I got one more though. Actually, let me see here. Oh, this one was. See, I don't know if this one was interesting. I started reading this. This was saying no guns allowed at Trump's appearance at the NRA convention. Gun control activists see hypocrisy. What about you? And I thought that would be kind of an interesting topic. The article is, I mean, the headline is pretty much self-explanatory, and it's not directly saying that Trump said this directly, but it was in
the most important person in the country, that, like, you know, Secret Service wanting to keep him safe. I don't think that's a thing. Like, everywhere he goes, it doesn't matter if it's NRA or what, they don't allow guns anywhere he goes.
Exactly. That's no difference in protocol. If he went into probably a cop convention, they'd make most of the cops disarm, I'm sure. I don't know. There's.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Well, I don't know.
That's the thing, is that it's the president.
But you know what I'm saying? Anywhere else he goes, they're going to do that.
He's not a normal person, right? He's not even like a celebrity.
That's every president. That's probably every president.
Yeah, every president that's ever been here since going all the way back to the Secret Service was formed, right? Like, that's been like a thing.
I bet you probably Kennedy started all that shit. Because before that, they were chill. Although there's been assassinations since way back in the day.
Yeah, I've always heard that ever since the Secret Service was formed, because of the one assassination that or attempted assassination, that has always been a thing, is like no guns around the president. Like that's just a rule. And I think like every country's president has like that same rule type of thing. Like because they're the most important person in that country, right? Like, you know, I mean, they're running that country. You got to protect that guy. So I don't think it's they're just making it an issue.
But then they were talking about this last night on the Daily Gun Show, that when Smeggy and everybody were at the NRA show last year or the year before, Trump's kid was there, and well, he wouldn't have been the president's kid back then. But anyway, whoever took a picture with him, Pink or somebody, was carrying, and whoever was taking the picture was carrying. So, you know, it's not as though it's something that the NRA does every time or anything.
Well, and before Trump even announced he was going, Pence was supposed to go, and they announced no guns just because of Pence, because he's the vice president. So it's like it was like already decided, like, hey, the vice president's coming, no guns. So big deal. Now the president's coming, so there's still going to be no guns. It's like, I mean, what's the? It's like it's not. They're just trying to make it an issue. It's not. It was already decided like weeks before this, when the vice president announced he was going to go, that there is going to be no guns there.
Okay, so I was reading this. I was listening, but I was also skimming this, and pretty much, I think we could turn this into a different thing of conversation, because I feel like this is what the left or the anti, whatever you want to call it, has been doing. This article is pretty much them saying, "Oh, but everybody could have guns though, NRA," and they're trying to pretty much turn it around and shit and say that, you know, prove their point. This is proving their point, I guess. And I feel like I don't know. My opinion on it is that is not the case at all. I agree with the president's sentiment. And for them to try to like turn it around and take the shot, it's ridiculous. It says here, gun control activists, and of course they're going to say, including some students at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, were critical of the NRA convention's decision to welcome Pence and Trump and abide by Secret Service rules. We want to know what you think. These are the Secret Service's rules, not the NRA, but is the NRA hypocritical to accept them? I don't think so.
No, because listen, the president and the vice president, those guys are high priority targets for different groups around the world. There are they are a high priority target, dude. Like they're constantly getting death threats and stuff like that. There's all sorts of different countries and groups around the world that would love a chance to get one of those guys. They have to take that kind of precaution. It's not a regular citizen. Me as a regular guy, or even someone like Wayne LaPierre, the head, he doesn't have fucking actual like countries and militias and these guerrilla groups and terrorist groups that actually want to fucking go and kill him like they do the president. You know, that would just strike a devastating blow to America, like when we lose a president, right? That's
Sure.
that's like seen as a victory for the enemy. So they have to take those kind of precautions, man. And it's been that way for a long, long time, and that's never going to change. That's just, and every country's that way. Like, you know, they got to protect their president.
Let's see here. And then they go on to say something about but the NRA has also been critical of so-called gun-free zones, including schools where Floridians with concealed carry permits are not allowed to bring their firearms. Florida schools now have a mandate to have armed security at every school. Once all 3,800 Florida schools have armed security, that is a fucking pipe dream. Once all 38 Florida schools have armed security, a process that is nowhere near completion, does that mean they're no longer gun-free zones? I feel like that's insane. If they're going to spend that much money, that's insane. 3,800 schools are going to have armed guards, and no, they're going to have more than one. God damn. That's insane.
Well, people have been saying that for a long time, though, about, you know, hey, hire, like, you know, vets coming back, you know, hire these people who can't find jobs, like give, you know, second jobs to policemen who are, you know, living on food stamps, stuff like that. I've heard a lot of people say, like, you know, let's hire these people. So it sounds like they're doing it, right? Like,
yeah, well, I mean, But we had that when I was a kid. Like we had like a police liaison officer and shit like that. You know, that kind of shit. I don't know.
I don't have a problem with an armed guard in every school as long as they're properly trained and not a pussy. As long as if someone starts shooting, that guy's of the mentality that he's going to try and that's his job is to stop that, not just to fucking report it on a radio.
I got
Yeah,
a
but
problem.
how are they gonna judge that off of application? You know, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know. They might have thought that one guy at the Florida high school was fucking balls to the wall Rambo or something like that.
I got a problem with it because I don't want the bureaucracy and any of the infrastructure to be added to the schools. I don't like schools in the first place, but I certainly don't want to give them more ability to just spend money. So what I'd rather see is if you've got that concern, then create a system where, just like a volunteer fire department or something, where there's like as minimal bureaucracy as possible, some sort of a vetting and qualification system to let, like you're saying, vets or somebody who's interested and qualified to do the job as on a volunteer basis. So there's again, as little bureaucracy and infrastructure as possible. I still say it's also a perceptual thing. We're talking about something that's less frequency than lightning strikes, shark bites or attacks or whatever, and it's done. The reason it's hyped is for a political reason for the firearms, right? And the more attention we give to it, the more credibility we give to that even the position. So I'm kind of against the whole concept because schools are not at risk. They're not any more danger than they were 10 weeks ago. And I picked that date because whatever it was, weeks before this last incident, no one was calling for armed guards in every school. It only happens when they focus on a instance that happens less often than lightning strikes.
Yeah, yeah. It's an uproar when it happens. It's a tragedy, and then I laugh. I understand it's a tragedy, and I do realize that some of these kids went through some fucking traumatic shit, really bad shit. But just the way that they talk about the way that people glorify guns, man. Like, I don't know. They're just it's kind of disgusting the way that they're doing this shit right now. And I mean, it's not like it's the first time they've used the tragedy to push agenda, but bringing kids into it is a whole nother fucking thing. Word. So on that happy, cheery note, I'm just fucking sitting here. I don't know when this thing.
You've been very much missed, Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
We were talking about that the other day, how you and Tony have been very much missed, and we can't wait for you guys to start doing something, whether it's an evening show or, like we were talking about, maybe you guys pre-recording a show or doing something, like, but we can't wait till you guys both get back on.
Yeah, we got to figure something out, man. I guess he was on yesterday and I missed him, and now I'm on today and he missed me. So yeah, it's fuck. Yeah, I know. And I haven't even talked to him. I feel like an asshole. The last time I emailed him was like maybe last week. See how he was doing and shit. I haven't talked to him since. So yeah, definitely got to figure something out. I'm working on it, guys.
The first couple of days that he came back, he was sounding pretty bad, and he sounded like he was really tired. Then he came back, yesterday, I guess it was, and sounds better than ever. Like he said, he's feeling a lot better. And
good.
I guess they went in today for another test or something, but it's just monitoring, and he was already shooting and doing stuff he probably shouldn't have been. Disruptive Tactics on the Instagram side is asking if anybody's going to NRA. I am not. I don't think Jimmy is.
Negative.
Is not. I don't think. We've got a couple of guys from Gun Channels going. Clover Tack will be there. Ghost Tactical will be there. Jesma, Tardot. I'm sure Mr. Wright will be there. Flippy said he's going. I don't know if he's bringing a camera. Am I missing people? I might be. Some of the wives will be going as well.
Very cool. Hey, yeah, I'm gonna be jumping on this thing here. Are we running? Is this gonna be a Every Second Matters thing too? Or are you gonna run that later, or what are we doing for Every Second Matters today?
Yeah, everybody gets together on the second day of the month to do Every Second Matters. It sounds like a couple of people will be doing their own shows dedicated to Every Second Matters to talk about either positions or things that they're interested in, or maybe the locations they're in. So everybody's welcome to do that. If you do put a note on Gun Channels, there's a channel there called Every Second Matters. Of course, you can just go to the Every Second Matters website as well. You're encouraged to do that and post your shows there. And yeah, so there'll be a couple of shows today. I'm debating. Well, we'll talk. And then you're going to be jumping on a bus, so you'll be not able to talk. You're saying?
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely lose you guys. I did the last time I jumped on a bus on a hangout. I lost you guys. So
Oh, okay.
well, it was a different hangout, but yeah,
before it shows up.
it's not. I'm looking at it, not at the light. So I'm getting ready. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I'm getting ready.
All right. Well, again, thanks for jumping in, man. We'll just wrap it up then. And again, thank everybody for joining us on the Gun Channel side, as well as the Instagram side and the YouTube side. Knives has a lobby going. A room where people can just jump in. If you're not able to join in, can watch. And that's over at gunchannels.com/knives. So we'll end the Instagram here. And we'll go over and check.
Thank you guys for jumping in too, man. Thanks for running this thing, G. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll do these in the mornings whenever I can. So I'll start, try to do it every morning for you guys. And like you say, that once you guys get back into the routine or something.
Yeah, very cool, man.
Figure out a time to do it. Dead Horse threw a couple of interesting things in here, but I don't think we'll have time before you have to jump on your bus.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to jump out like now-ish. So
Okay. Good. Thanks again.
all right, cool. Yeah, thank you guys, and we will talk to you guys soon-ish. I ain't going nowhere. So all right, later.
All right, so this was the early watch show. They normally run, I think, about an hour earlier than we started today, and it's normally on their channel on YouTube, but on this channel on Gun Channels. And we had 20 people watching right now, 20 thumbs. Do appreciate that. The goal there is just to remind people that as an audience, you're just nothing, right? You're just a tool for YouTube. By using the tools available to us, the likes and the subscribes and all that, at least we start to influence the logarithm over there, that what is of interest to the viewers. And so I do appreciate the people that do it for our shows, but more importantly, the people that remember to do that on anything that you like. Doesn't matter if it's gun related or what. That's a way to influence the robots. So remember that. And Dead Horse, got anything? Do you have a show coming up?
Yeah.
Tonight or tomorrow?
Both. I got one tonight and tomorrow. Tonight, Rupin RX is going to be having an E2M chat at 5 p.m. Eastern till 7 p.m. Eastern. And then there's going to be Rick's Life as I See It starting at 7. And then right after Rick's Life as I See It, I'm going to be doing a live AR build, that $250 AR-15 build. So that's going to be live on Gun Channels tonight. And then we got the Daily Gun Show tonight, right? For E2M, special Daily Gun Show.
Well, we'll be talking about Second Matters for sure, but then we'll also do a separate Every Second Matters probably with Smeggy or somebody earlier, because that's pretty late to do the Every Second Matters, and I guess depending on where they live, technically it's tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I guess.
All right, so since this is a special show, we'll leave everybody with this special ending.
The girls came over for bridge club. I was so embarrassed because of lingering odors.
This will get us copyrighted, probably.
Fish for dinner last night?
We'll stop screen sharing just for a second. That way we won't get copyrighted, hopefully.
Phew. Are they still smoking the cigars?
And then we'll keep talking in between so that it doesn't pick it up.
Christ, did I have in here?
Yeah, because it's all done by sound.